Who is the best Premier League manager from last season? Who are the mediocre ones? Who is the worst one? We are here to work all this out in the form of a tier list created by unnamed 21328 on the Tier Maker website. I'm joined by Owen Mawson. I am Ross Tweddell. Let's kick things off with Roy Hodgson, who took over Crystal Palace with 10 games left of the Premier League season after a 12-game winless run for Crystal Palace under Patrick Vieira. They were 3 points just above the relegation zone when Roy took over, and there was loads of attacking football, loads of goals. They ended the Premier League season in 11th place. They're on 45 points. Leicester on 34. That's a difference of 11.
Oh, he's done his work.
It's a big 8-point jump for Roy Hodgson to Crystal Palace. They were fantastic under
They really were. You don't associate fast-paced, forward-thinking football with Roy Hodgson.
No, not at all.
But he came in and he turned it upside down. Their problem under Vieira was lack of goals.
There wasn't
an issue with old Roy.
Not at all. 12-game winless run. They were going to drop into the Championship like a stone, it would appear, but Roy turned it round. He doesn't care now that he's 75. He's letting his hair down. It's got to be a good job.
Yeah, it's got to be. It's not manager of the season level because he's not been there long.
Well, we're going to find out at the end of the video, Owen.
Oh,
only one person can make it into manager of the season. It's singular. So big stakes are on the offing. Unai Emery began his role at Aston Villa on November the 1st. The game before he arrived was a 4-0 win over Brentford under caretaker manager Aaron Danks. Danks for that, Aaron, I imagine Unai Emery probably said. It was just their third win in 12 Premier League games up to that point of the 2022-2023 campaign, which left them at the time of Unai Emery taking over 14th in the league, 3 points above the relegation zone. We know what happened after that. They finished 7th, 61 points. They were about 6 or 7 points behind Liverpool in 5th. They did marvellously well. It's a very good job at the very least.
It's a very good job, Ross.
It's a very good job.
It's a very good job. He's absolutely turned them upside down from where they were under Gerrard, which we'll get to later. He's just done a great job in securing European football with them.
For the first time since 2009 under Martin O'Neill and his little hoppy legs.
And Unai's an expert when it comes to European football. He loves a European Cup.
People laughed at me when I said that they were draw at Anfield on the final, towards the end of the season.
I did.
I was
Me and Joel laughed.
He'll treat it like a European away day, and look what happened.
He did.
Antonio Conte left Spurs after 16 months in charge. His total record while he was manager of Spurs, 76 wins, 76 games, 40 wins, 23 losses, a 54.1% win average. Out of the Champions League to AC Milan in March, out of the FA Cup to Sheffield United in March, left them in 4th when he left them. He left them. They finished the league season in 8th, of course, a long way away from anything to do with anything. So I reckon Conte, expectations at the start of the season, top 4 was a bare minimum, I think, just because of his track record, because of the upturn in fortunes they had during the 2021-2022 campaign. So where he left them in 4th, I think that's par for the course for Tottenham.
Yeah, I think it's crazy looking back that he actually got them to they were in 4th when the meltdown happened, and it's actually got worse from there. So yeah, they were expecting to get top 4 going into the season. Everyone was saying last summer that they won the summer transfer window with the sign Perisic, small bit of business. Kulusevski got him, locked him down. So it's not find a new job. Is it poor because he?
No, it's okay. I think it's par for the course. If he's a golfer, he's expected to get 1 under, and he's got 1 under. Is that how golf works? I don't know.
I reckon okay job makes sense because, like we said, they were 4th when he left.
Yeah. And it could have been better, could have been worse. Yeah. It could have been a lot worse, as we saw after he left. Jurgen Klopp finished the season in 5th place after a miraculous turnaround in the sort of final quarter of the season, half of the season.
Oh my God, yeah. Last 9 games of the season, we left it very late, Ross.
You've got about 45 seconds to say what you want about Jurgen Klopp's season.
He's done...
As you need to come closer to me because you're cutting off the screen.
He's done okay. He's done okay. He's not... It's so difficult because... Although we didn't have a good summer last season in the transfer window, he's made some poor decisions himself as an individual.
Such as?
Well, not signing a midfielder. We were told last season, you're not getting Tchouaméni, you're not getting Bellingham. So we could have signed somebody, and he was like, no, I'll trust the lads I've got, which, well, I mean, we went deep into all competitions last season, so you think, they've earned his trust, but obviously the legs weren't there. In January, he signed Gakpo, great player, but did we need the legs in midfield? Could we have secured top 4?
He was effective, Gakpo. He played him in a variety of positions, didn't he?
I love Gakpo. I think he's great. But do you think, could Gakpo have waited until this summer and got a midfielder then, who knows. But that run at the end got us to 5th European football still, because it looked like we weren't going to make any kind of European football this season. So I would put him in maybe okay.
It'll be the bottom of okay when we come to the end of the tier list, I think. But I think the way they turned it round, a 7-0 win against Man United also happened this season, which I think you've got to take into account. It's a massive drop-off, but
yes,
it's okay in the end. They got 5th.
Yeah.
They're going to be played on Thursday nights.
I mean,
LOL.
Love it.
LOL.
Love it. Breaks the week up more, I reckon. Breaks the week up.
Just stick Pep into the good job bit. We don't need to talk about that much, do we?
What, good job? Yeah. Oh, top of good job. Get him in there.
Put them where you want, Owen. He's in good job. It's been a good season.
Roy's not moving for Pep there.
The little bit of... Well, that's to be expected. The little bit of doubt at the start of the season with Haaland, it took a little bit to bed in. Things weren't going quite right, losing to teams like Brentford at home, I guess, around that period of time. But in the end, they're probably going to do a historic treble unless something miraculous happens in the Champions League at the weekend there. So it's a good job all round, isn't it? Brendan Rodgers left Leicester 18th in the league after a loss to Crystal Palace in the last minute at Selhurst Park. In the 11th last game of the season, if that makes sense. So after he left, there was 10 games left. Yes. 6 games without a win before he was let go. It was absolutely a piss poor job.
He's going low. But how low does he go? He's not found a new job levels.
It's Brendan Rodgers.
Brendan Rodgers will get another Premier League job. It's definitely poor, though.
I think
it's definitely poor.
I was watching back some whatever game it was. It might have been Spurs away when they got a bit spanked.
Yes.
And he was just talking like he was like just saying, "Please sack me. I want the money. Get me gone. I've had enough."
Yeah, he wanted gone like 3 or 4 weeks before he actually got the hammer game down. I mean, with the squad that they've got on paper, they shouldn't be anywhere near a relegation dogfight. Last season they finished 9th?
5th, wasn't it?
Was it 5th?
Just outside the Champions League.
Oh my God! So
won the FA Cup recently as well.
Of course. So he's been dreadful. He's been dreadful. You could say he's not been backed in the transfer windows, but now
after being heavily backed in windows in years gone by. So I guess it's a case of the team getting a bit stagnant, a bit stale.
Yeah,
and they've sleptwalked to relegation.
Yeah, I mean he's in poor job.
It's got to be the bottom of poor job by the time we end there. Surely.
I think so.
It's Leicester for goodness' sake. It's Brendan Rodgers.
But he can't be. I don't think he's in fine new job because he will get another Premier League job. Someone will get him.
Yeah.
Someone will get him back in. So yeah. Low poor.
He might even go back to Celtic as well, Sati, after Postecoglou's gone to Spurs.
Maybe.
I know things ended a bit sour there, but it seems like it might be a thing that makes sense. Anyway, we move on to Edward Howe.
Oh.
MBE, OBE.
You get 45 seconds.
Sir Edward Howe.
Wax lyrical about Eddie.
I don't know what you say. Pragmatic, master of the dark arts, massive arsehole. Edward Howe. That's what we are about Newcastle United now. Nah, it's dark arts when Eddie Howe does it. It's game management when other managers do it. We went to Arsenal away. This is when it all started. Arsenal won every game and scored in every game at the Emirates, and then we went there, got a 0-0 draw, bucked that trend. Then from there, it's just been fantastic. The perfect blend of lovely attacking football, a proper solid base apart from the final few weeks of the season. The development of players like your Joe Littons, your Sean Longstaffs, your Fabian Schär's, Trippier's keeping up there. Nick Pope's being developed a little bit more, I would say. He's fantastic.
He's done a ridiculous job. He's 1 or 2 years ahead of schedule.
2 years at least.
Easily ahead of schedule.
It's a good job. We might as well move on.
Yeah, just get him on.
It's a good job.
Get him. No. Put him in poor.
Careful now.
Put him in poor.
Thomas Tuchel was sacked after a 1-0 defeat away to Dinamo Zagreb in the Champions League. He won just 3 of 7 matches this season, despite spending £278.4 million in the transfer market in the summer. And could that be the issue he had? Was it too many cooks?
Yes.
New to the kitchen.
And it's the exact same problem that Graham Potter had. Just too many cooks.
Although I found out something quite disastrous about Graham Potter in my research for this tier list, which I didn't realise. Now, we'll get to it when we speak about Graham Potter. Okay. But I think Thomas Tuchel, it's a poor job, isn't it?
It's a poor job, but do you think was he even given a chance to really have a go, have a run with to put the squad together? He was given a mess, and he didn't really have much time to put it all together. You could say the same for Graham Potter as well. I feel like Tuchel leaving was him having a falling out more than form. I
also think it was bad timing for Tuchel because of Todd Bowley taking over, and he wasn't really his manager, was he? Obviously, Todd Bowley inherited Thomas Tuchel, and we know what happened to Chelsea afterwards. So no matter what happened after, I think before that as well, I think it's a poor job, but not as poor as Brendan Rodgers. But again, he wasn't given a chance to rectify it, was it?
Yes, so is it.
Was it, or was he? He's not in it.
Are we going okay or poor?
I say poor. Me. It's Chelsea, for goodness sake.
Yeah.
Under Thomas Tuchel as well. It's another one of those ones like Conte, where I think expectations were a lot higher than what he produced in the short time he had this season. Dean Smith didn't play Harvey Barnes or James Maddison away at Newcastle when they maybe had to win the game. And then, of course, they got the 0-0 draw, which then took them to the final game of the season. They beat West Ham, but they still went down ruining. The Messi made, I think, it's in James's part by not going for it a little bit more, even though they could have nicked it towards the end.
Honestly, it's a mess. What was he doing?
Don't know.
A must-win game. Not playing two of your best players.
You can see why it would make sense if it worked, but the fact it didn't is the fact we can sit here now and laugh. Obviously, the drubbing away at Fulham, when it really mattered, they really needed something in that game. That didn't count in his favour either.
Heavy defeat to Liverpool as well.
Yeah, overall record for Leicester, 8 games played, 2 wins, 3 draws, 3 losses, 25% win record. It's a poor job.
I would say it's found a new job. Would he get a new Premier League club? Would another club trust them?
I think he'll get a Championship job just because of what he did at Aston Villa and what he did at Brentford into League One, into the Championship all the way back when.
We should clarify then. Find a new job. Is it find a new Premier League job or just football managing?
I think
in general?
You've got to say football managing isn't for them, and there's a couple of candidates in there.
Well, okay, Dean Smith then maybe he could be a Championship manager, but he's not Premier League level.
No, not at all. No. But he had one job to do at Leicester. He didn't do it. It's a poor one all round. It's a poor one.
Get him in.
It's a poor one. Then we have Javi Gracia. He took over when Leeds were 19th in the league, 2 points adrift to safety, 12 games, 3 wins, 2 draws, 7 losses. Again, a 25% win record. But they conceded about 7 million goals, and they got themselves into good positions in games, and then just sort of went,
I'll be honest.
Teams ran through them.
I'm shocked that you've said that they had 12 games under him, because...
Well, apparently so, according to Wikipedia, the best source on the internet.
I just forgot he was there.
I remember I think it might have been Roy's first game in charge, potentially of one of Roy's first games in charge of Crystal Palace. They went to Ellen Road, and the football was like prime Brazil away at Ellen Road for Crystal Palace, who obviously were doing this stuff under Patrick Vieira, and then Roy rocks up, and that happens.
Is it find a new job?
It could be find a new job.
It could be our first entry.
Things haven't gone well for him a lot, and to get hired as a replacement and then sacked, that is a big embarrassment.
Yeah, I mean, Leeds have had egg on their face all season, and he's one of the prime suspects of it. He was poor for Watford. Got sacked by Watford.
Well, he was good for Watford until it went wrong.
Yeah, Watford sack all the managers, to be fair. But yeah, Leeds, just basing it solely on this season, he's had a nightmare, hasn't he? He's had an absolute nightmare, so get a new job. He's
got his tail between his legs. He'll have to take some job somewhere else to get him out of that position in that tier list, let me tell you. Then we move on to Sean Dyche.
Big Dyche.
Farhad Moshiri's 7th permanent manager in nearly 7 years when he took over the job at Everton. He took over, I should say, at the end of January, with Everton not having won a game since October. They were 19th. They played 20 games at the time of his appointment. They were on 15 points. He did exactly what he needed to do. The highlight, of course, was that, I don't even know how it happened, that away win at Brighton, 5-1.
I was going to say.
Nobody saw that coming, but I know the football maybe hasn't been, what Everton fans want, but I think Everton fans got what they wanted in the fact that they stayed in the league when they had to. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, he got them over the line, which is, it wasn't looking good when he took over. Got a win over Arsenal, like you said, the big win over Brighton. The football wasn't great, but
it didn't need to be, did it? It was one job, and he got the job done.
He's done his job. Would you say it's okay or good?
I'd probably, with the Everton squad, you look at Leicester's squad, the Everton squad on paper is weaker than Leicester's, so I would probably say Dyche is at the very bottom of good job.
Yeah, I can't argue with it,
I mean, this might age like milk if he starts off next season in charge of Everton and does like what Lampard was doing this time last year, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, I thought, like I was saying before, I thought that they were nailed on to go down.
Yeah.
But if they held on to Lampard anymore, then I feel like they would have. But Dyche came in just with enough time to get his system in place, the classic 4-4-2, and the new manager bounce win against Arsenal, the big win away at Brighton, it's got them over the line. So
absolutely,
job done.
Jesse Marsch left after a defeat at Nottingham Forest before Nottingham Forest got their arses into gear. He won only 4 games this season, and they were at the time of his departure level on points with 18th place Everton with a game in hand. Leeds obviously, of course, finished the season second bottom after 2 more managers had been through there after Jesse Marsch. Obviously he's got a big reputation after what he did at Leipzig, but after that I don't get him. I just don't understand what Jesse Marsch ball is.
No.
He didn't implement it at Leeds at all. I was shocked when Southampton apparently apparently. We were very close to appointing him as well. I think it's a poor... You look at what Leeds were under Bielsa into what they became under Marsch, and it never got going.
No, obviously, they've seen what he was doing at Leipzig, which was quite attacking football. They obviously thought that could translate over to a post Bielsa ball world. But obviously, yeah, like you just said, it just didn't work, and it was right for them to let him go. Obviously, they just didn't get the replacements lined up well enough. And I was like you said, I was so surprised he was linked with Southampton, who were on the verge of going down. He's been getting linked with the Leicester job, which I'll be shocked by. It'll be interesting to see how it does in the Championship. But is it a case of, is he just not cut for the Prem, or is it find a new job?
I think it's find a new job. I don't get it. I don't get it.
No? Get him in there.
To be honest, I don't watch a lot of Bundesliga, so maybe I'm being a bit hard. Let's go poor job. There'll be a lot of Bundesliga fans watching this video going, what are you saying, Ross?
He did well, like you said, at Salzburg, and they played quite attacking football. So obviously the mindset was, let's carry on the Bielsa ball into this more fluid attacking football. Yeah. It's not worked.
No, it's not worked. It's not worked. Erik ten Hag has got Man United back into the Champions League. They finished in third place, 75 points off their 38 games. He spent a hell of a lot of money, as all Manchester United managers do. I think the job, even though in league table positions, it's been a good one. I think it's the top of okay. I think what Erik...
Let me put him back.
I think at what people... I know he's won the League Cup, which is obviously a very good thing. They finished top 3, but some of the defeats they've had this season, you look at what maybe he could... he took over a team that weren't exactly, 14th.
No, true.
I forget where they finished last season, but it wasn't that far down the league table. I mean, and now they're third.
Ollie got them second.
They're third now. I think it's a decent job, but I don't think I'm not waxing lyrical about it.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the squad as well, and you look at the form of everyone else in the league this season, they've been in the top 4 for quite the majority of the season, and they've got the cup, but they've no FA Cup to go with it.
No FA Cup. I don't think that matters about really, but I just don't think.
This Premier League.
I know a lot of people, like I said, he sorted out Man United, but there's still some glaring issues there that were there when he took over. Obviously, things have got a lot better from what they were under Ralph. What the hell was it? Ralph Ragnick. My mind's gone blank there for a second.
I almost said Ralph Hasenhüttl.
No, that's a different guy altogether. We'll get to him later. But things obviously got a lot better from those times. He sorted out the Ronaldo problem, which was becoming a big issue. Obviously, he didn't have the options that other teams up there have, with Wout Weghorst being the second choice.
No, but he has made some. He has made some good signings. He's spotted the issue in centre mid. He's brought in Casemiro. He's done a good job. He's got some good form out of Rashford this season and Bruno.
You know what? I'm being harsh. Let's get him in good job.
My first instinct was good job. I was surprised that you said okay.
I think a lot of people are over
top 4 in a cup.
Yeah, but they were like 5th or 6th when he took over.
This is Manchester United. Maybe talking about.
He did his job.
That's his job.
He did his job.
Okay or good?
Good.
There he is.
In good. I'm being a bit harsh. Then we have, who the hell is that? It's Marco Silva.
Marco Silva.
Very good job.
Very good job.
Fulham finished the league season this season in the Premier League. 38 games played, 15 won, 7 drawn, 16 losses, 55 scored, 53 against, 52 points. They've played some wonderful stuff. How he's getting a tune out of Willian, I've got no idea after what we saw at Arsenal. Mitrovic again proving the doubters wrong, I think, at the Premier League level. They've just been a very nice watch, haven't they? Even Andres Pereira getting the pre-season Messi, I think they called him at Man United. Now he's doing it in the Prem.
Yeah, like you said, he's got Mitrovic scoring goals in the Premier League for the first time consistently, which is good. Willian, like you said, he's an aging winger, but he's gone back to Chelsea.
He said aging there.
Aging. Oh my God! But he's gone back into Chelsea form when he was at Chelsea. I mean, I'll be honest, I have Fulham to go down this season, and he's got them top half. Has he?
Good job.
10th?
Yeah, 10th on. In the middle.
So I would say he's done a good job. He's done a very good job. I think he's worthy of manager of the season discussion.
Definitely overachieved. Definitely.
Oh, absolutely.
And then we have Lopetegui, who succeeded Bruno Lage, or Lager, however you want to pronounce it, back on. I don't know. He was sacked on October the 2nd, having won just one of his final 15 games, dating back to the previous season before last. He took over with Wolves, having lost 3 of their past 5 games under the caretaker manager Davis, and was second from bottom of the Premier League, 2 points below Southampton. He got off to a miraculous start. Things maybe tapered off towards the end of the season. We're currently sat here not knowing definitively what his future holds. He finished the season in 13th on 41 points. He got past the magical 40 points. But yeah, it was a very, very good job.
Are we going very good or okay?
I think good. In terms of where, they were 17th when they took over. It wasn't looking very good. They weren't the most attacking side under Mr. Lager towards the end.
I'd say I'd say that's continued a little bit under this fella.
Under this fella.
Lopetegui. I didn't want to try and say it. It's a hard name. Scoring goals is still their issue, but they've been harder to break down. They've been harder to beat, and his job would have been coming in, just keep them up, and he's got them up to 13th, just behind Chelsea. So you know what, he has done a good job.
He was sacked by Sevilla as well. I think a few weeks before he took over at Wolves, they tried once to get him, then had to try again to get him, then actually got him.
I'll be interested to see how they do next season if they do keep him on. He's a former Real Madrid manager. He's been at Sevilla, so he's been at top clubs.
It feels like a proper transitional summer for Wolves. They're losing. It seems like Ruben Neves is going. João Moutinho, I think, is leaving as well. So that core that's been there since they've been in the Premier League. Obviously Raul at the top of the pitch as well.
They definitely need to work on the strike force a little bit, get some more goals in the team, and like you said, with Ruben Neves off to Barca, need some work on the midfield.
Is it Barcelona he's off to?
Reportedly.
Bloody Nora.
I mean, apparently they've got FFP issues all over the place, but they're linked with everyone still. So yeah.
And speaking of Bloody Nora, we get on to Brentford, because Bloody Nora, Brentford are 9th in the Premier League at the end of the season, 59 points. I don't know what more we need to say.
It's no messing about. It's
defying belief every season. It's going to be an interesting one next season, obviously without Tony for a large chunk of it. So how they're going to replace him and his goals remains to be seen, but what a miraculous job he's doing.
No, he's up there for manager of the season for me. He's done amazing stuff with them.
Fantastic stuff.
Usually some teams have a second season downward spiral, but not Brentford. And yet, like you said, interesting next season without Tony to see how they do.
Yeah, Patrick Vieira started the season, obviously after a very good first season for Crystal Palace, but then we have that 12-game winless run, dropping like a stone, 3 points above the relegation zone. When he got sacked, I think it's a poor job, but not find a new job.
Yeah, he did well last season with them, and this season it just didn't work out. Maybe it just looked a bit stale, and they just stopped believing in his methods, kind of. I agree. I don't know if it's find a new job because he might get another run in the Premier League.
He's young. He's obviously a talented manager. He did all right stuff at Nice as well. So it's a poor job this season. Things just didn't get going, and he paid the price for it, unfortunately. Then we get to Graham Potter, who cost anywhere between 16 and 21 million pounds, depending on who you believe. Chelsea paid that to Brighton for his services. A 5-year deal. He took over a team 5 points off the Premier League, off the top of the Premier League, and 3 points off 4th spot. He lasted 7 months. He won only 7 of his 22 Premier League games in charge. He took over a team in 6th. He left them in 11th. And apparently, and I read this in The Guardian, which is, highbrow, for fancy folk, he had a say in those January transfers. I just thought it was a case of Todd Bowley. Here's your toys, work it out later.
That's what we were all told.
Yeah, but apparently, according to The Guardian and other sources, he had a say.
So Graham Potter saw Arsenal getting Mudryk, and he thought, no, we'll take him.
Potentially.
I
don't know which specific names he did have a say in, but yeah, Graham Potter, it's not find a new job because of the job he did at Brighton. Well, the job he's done everywhere he's been to, up till Chelsea. But it's a severely poor job.
He's done very poor. I feel sorry for him a little bit because obviously he was, again...
You need time, don't you?
You need time. He was given a mess, but... He did have quite a lot of it. I mean, he didn't have a full... It's mad now. The Premier League, time is like a full season, but he only got 6 months, if that. It's just not good enough, really. He should have done better with the squad. On paper, the squad he had, but it was a mess. The club was a mess behind the scenes all season, so... I expect him to do well wherever he goes next.
Might be Leicester, might be Lee. I don't know. I was reading about the other day,
Dropping down. Do you think he will drop down to Championship?
I don't know. I think he would.
Yeah.
It depends what jobs are going, aren't they?
Yeah.
He might be a fit for Wolves if Lopetegui goes. I don't know.
Yeah, or he might hover around until the sackings happen next season. The chopper seat, hang
Leicester
around.
Leicester as well, obviously.
Yeah.
Then we move on to Steve Cooper, which you can see what time does if you're allowed to just work out a team from a group of players thrown out. Yeah, I assume Steve Cooper had more of a say in the transfers than maybe Potter did with some names. But eventually, obviously, Nottingham Forest risen like a phoenix. 9 wins from their 38 games this season. 38 points from the 38 games, playing some good stuff towards the end of the season. Morgan Gibbs-White doing some good stuff. Your fella up front, I've forgotten the name of him as I'm sat here right now.
It's like Anawai, not Anawai.
Awani.
That's like Roman Reigns.
Awani.
Yes.
he was good towards the end of the season. They just once he sorted out that team, obviously he had players like Chris Wood and John Joe Shelby signed from Newcastle.
Yeah.
Shelby got banished for a bit. Looks like he's going to leave on his 70 grand a week. Apparently that Nottingham Forest are paying him. Unbelievable stuff. But
big signings like Jesse Lingard just not doing it.
Yeah, and I think what Nottingham Forest were at the start of the season as to where they ended the season and the mess that could have potentially been with running a football club like that, I think it's a good job done.
I think it's a very good job, yeah. I mean, it was almost like... he's gone in okay. It was almost like constantly on the verge of sack and just kept avoiding it. But like you said, give someone time and they can put it together. You know, he's obviously a very talented manager. Obviously, the squad like him because there wasn't, a bit of a turn on the manager with the squad. So he's been given the time. He's done the job. He's overachieved massively because I think a lot of people had them going down, especially with the amount of players that they brought in. So he's done a very good job. I don't know if he's manager of the season contender or do you think?
No, if he was maybe pushing where be it Brentford's and your Fulham's are potentially, but where they ended up, I think was a very admirable job.
No, he's done a really good job.
De Zerbi took over Brighton in fourth when they were fourth in the league, 1 point ahead of Manchester United. Obviously, they finished sixth place in the league, not back into European football for the first time ever. 62 points won this season. I'm not with it today at all. Sorry, I'm very tired. The football they're playing is astonishing. It didn't work at St James. I've said this is my only real exposure to Brighton ball this season. The centre back taking the goal kick to the goalkeeper, who would then try and pass it out. It didn't work on that night, but obviously being where they finished up, it worked hell of a lot.
I can tell you, after watching Liverpool get spanked by Brighton 3-0, and we got beat by them. Was it in the FA Cup as well?
Yeah.
Over two legs with the second. He's got them playing amazing football, but with players that you wouldn't expect. Lewis Dunk, you wouldn't expect him to be able to pass it out of the back, but he's got.
Well, he couldn't at St James's Park.
But over the course of the season, he's proven that he can. He's got them playing amazing football. He's brought in players like Matoma, and he's just been an absolute baller. Did he sign Matoma? Yeah, they got Matoma in January.
Did they actually?
I think they did. Or if not, it was definitely. Last summer,
signing.
But I thought it was in January. They brought. He's got Solly March playing his best football.
Yeah.
He's done an amazing job. He's
Pascal Gross as well.
Pascal Gross, McAllister. We could name the whole 11. So he's up there for manager of the season for me, but he's definitely in good job.
Who the hell's that next?
That's
our Steve.
Of course, get him in there. Manager. Oh, no.
3 wins from 12 before he was sacked, with Aston Villa in 14th position, 3 points above the relegation zone. I think it's on the brink of find a new job, Stevie. That's not really.
It's harsh.
It's a poor job.
Harsh. He's been poor. He's proven with Rangers, that he can win silverware. But he came in at the back end of the previous season, did really well. With the Coutinho loan signing and stuff like that, brought players in on permanent transfers, and it's just not worked.
No, not at all.
It's just not worked at all. It was probably the right decision to let him go. Obviously, in hindsight, looking at what Unai's done with the squad, but it's just poor.
But it was a game that Aston Villa played away at Fulham towards. It might have been Gerrard's last game, where the players had just given up. He'd lost the dressing room. Getting sacked was the best thing that could have happened to Aston Villa. All the pressure's on now for his next job, wherever that's going to be. I've seen Leicester mentioned as a potential place he could go. I don't think he's getting another Premier League job until he does well elsewhere. Then maybe he can come back in.
I think dropping down to the Championship is probably the best thing for him, and just see how he does. If he can get promotion in there, we've got him in poor job. Who's that you're looking at?
Sorry, I'm just trying to work. It's far away. These little pictures. It's Scott Parker next.
Scott Parker next, yeah. So
Scott
Gerrard's
Parker,
in a poor job.
He did do a poor job. Scott Parker, he was sacked after just 4 games of the season. There was a weird interview that took place after Liverpool 9, Bournemouth 0. He left them in 16th position, but it's this interview where he just talked about not being able to compete with the other big teams, basically putting all the blame on the owners for not backing them really in the summer transfer window. It's a weird thing to do when you're so early into the season, and when you're at a team like Bournemouth who aren't ever going to be spending lavish amounts of money on players, are they?
To be fair, we'll get onto it in a little bit. They did spend money in January. They did spend monny, but
But comparatively to Liverpool,
of course not. No.
You can expect to get turnover 9, can't you, when you're Bournemouth away at Liverpool?
But, so he's had this.
Maybe not 9.
No.
Maybe 4.
Yeah, but obviously he's had the season with Bournemouth, not gone well. He's had the season with Fulham in the Prem, not gone well. He's had 2 jobs
Bruges as well. Was it Bruges he took over and got sacked from quite quickly?
Well, yeah, was it?
Yeah.
In Belgium. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think it could be find a new job.
I reckon it might be finding a new job as
He's
well.
He's definitely not getting another Premier League job. I think that ship's
Or
sailed.
Championship?
No. I mean, he's won promotion twice. That's the thing. He's won promotion. So maybe he's just found his level. He's Championship manager level.
So maybe it's just poor job, not find a new job. There's still a manager in there somewhere, you would say. He's still a young boy as well.
He is a young man. He's done, but it's very poor. It's bottom of poor. It's on the verge of finding a new job.
I love this next one.
It's super frank.
Lampard left Everton at the end of January. They were second bottom of the Premier League, and they'd won they hadn't won a league game since October. And when they beat Crystal Palace 3-0 at home, they were 19th in the league, only above Southampton on goal difference. He then goes to Chelsea. 11 played, 1 win, 2 draws, 8 losses, a 9.1% win rate. They were shocking.
Yeah.
I think it's time for Lampard to find a new job.
I think, Sky or BT have a warm seat ready for him there.
Because he should have stayed at Derby. In hindsight, it's a wonderful thing, obviously, hindsight. If you're getting offered a job by Chelsea, you never know if that might come round again. So obviously you can see why he took it. But it's clear for all to see that it was too soon. He should have probably stayed at Derby. Obviously, it's an easy thing to say right now, but it's not gone right ever since he left Pride Park.
No, he's just not been able to prove at any of the clubs since Derby. I mean, Derby, their entire squad was also based on, Chelsea loan players at that season.
Mason Mount,
Yeah, Mason Mount in. There was someone else that I can't remember off the top of my head. So just loan players from Chelsea, using his connections well to his advantage. Didn't secure promotion with them in the playoff final. Goes to Chelsea. Does he get top 4 in his first season?
Yeah, he finished 4th, but they finished 4th the year before, I think, as well. So he took a team from 4th to 4th.
Then sacked. Then he goes to Everton and he stunk the place out with them. He absolutely stunk the place out. They played dreadful football this season, and they barely stayed up last season when he did take over. It wasn't the new manager bounce that you would have expected. And obviously, like we just said, awful again with Chelsea. So he's got to be found a new job.
Yeah.
Sky or BT pundit, written all over him.
Mikel Arteta now, if at the start of the season you were saying they're going to push Manchester City as far as they did, you'd probably say he would be manager of the season contender. Obviously, with context, I think they did bottle the league, but I think that's by the by as we sit here in this tier list. Just speaking about the overall picture of last season, it's a very good job indeed for Mikel Arteta.
It's a very good job. Yeah, no one expected them to get where they were. No one expected them to be in the title race. They've done an amazing job. He's up there for manager of the season, which we'll get onto. Very good job, regardless of if it was a bottle or not.
Yeah, it's just a shame they spent 247 days at the top of the table, then didn't bring it home. They still finished.
If they were chasing the whole way, we would have said, they've done an amazing job. But because it was the other way around, they dropped off a little bit. The narrative's changed slightly.
And it was the way it happened as well, like against West Ham's and against Southampton at home. It shouldn't be happening against those teams like that.
No.
Finishing 5 points behind this Manchester City team is obviously a good achievement. Getting back to the Champions League after 5 or 6 seasons, whatever it's been as well.
That was the goal.
After bottling it last season as well. So good on Arteta. Big hopes for them next season. Then we've got Mr. Mr. Lager. He obviously won one of his final 15 games dating back to the season previous. Wolves spent 100 million last summer, which I didn't realise.
What?
So I think that's why he got the chop. After his 4th defeat of this season, he got chopped. It's not find a new job, but I think it's a very poor job indeed.
Yeah, it is poor. They spent 100 million.
Apparently so.
On who?
Can't remember. I wish I could Google on there, but we need to record that screen.
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think who they've signed for big money. No, I mean, they were just poor, weren't they? They were just poor at the start of the season.
Uninspiring.
It's a poor job. He's obviously going to get another job. Probably not in the Premier League. Probably just somewhere abroad in Europe. Yes. So poor job.
And obviously, Lopetegui took things up to a new level until it dropped back down again towards the end of the season. Who's up next? It's Ralph.
We've got big Ralph.
Nearly 4 years in charge of Southampton. He was. He lost 6 of their last 9 Premier League matches to sit inside the bottom 3 when he was given the chop. The last game was a 4-1 home defeat in Newcastle. I don't know if this is Ralph Hasenhüttl's fault. I think it's partly down to recruitment. I think it's a massive part down to recruitment.
I think so as well. I feel like their squad on paper, it's Championship squad.
And they were floating. They were teasing with relegation for several years, all the way probably through his tenureship.
Well, he kept them up every single season. Being in the dogfight, but this season, I mean, it's just one season too far without proper recruitment.
It was
investment.
Too much investment in youth.
Yeah,
you need those experienced heads. I know they had Theo Walcott and people like that, but in terms of real Premier League quality, real Premier League experience, Theo Walcott's either side of the hill, you would probably have to say.
Yeah.
Too much put into youth, and I don't know where we put Ralph, because it's not an okay job to say they were in the bottom 3 when he left. But it's not a poor job because you've got to put context around it. Or is it a poor job? I don't know. I think recruitment's to blame me for where Southampton ended up this season.
Yeah, I agree. He's definitely not found a new job. I'm struggling between poor and okay as well. Because,
top of poor, we'll say.
I know it's weird saying this, but he kind of... They were where that you would expect them to be.
Yeah.
With the recruitment, with the squad... You expected them to be in a relegation battle?
Should we say the weirdest OK job in the history of tier list OK jobs?
OK is looking a bit empty.
Yeah, we'll put him in OK. What are Southampton expecting when Bazunu in goal and Liva, as good as he is, it's obviously inexperienced in the Premier League and just,
I think
it's a championship squad in the Premier League, isn't it?
If he stayed with them and they went down, I could see him getting them back up.
I think they would have finished higher than they did do if he did stay.
If he did stay, yeah, probably, yeah, because it was a mess, and we'll get onto the mess that ensued afterwards. So
but before we get there, we've got Gary O'Neill, who spent 12 matches as interim manager of Bournemouth after Scott Parker was sacked. The Cherries had won 4, drawn 4, lost 4 of their 12 games under the 39-year-old. I've copied and pasted this from somewhere clearly. They were 14th in the Premier League. They then finished 15th in the Premier League after a little bit of a period where it looked like they were dropping like a stone. Yep. I think it's an unbelievable job done by Gary O'Neill, and he was very unlucky not to be in the talk for the real life, Manager of the Season award that went to Guardiola.
No, I absolutely agree. He's done a tremendous job taking over after the heavy defeat at Liverpool. You know what? He's had the whole season. Pretty much the whole season there in charge, and it could have gone very wrong.
Yeah, 34 games he had.
Could have gone very wrong, very similar to Southampton. So he's done a tremendous job. He's definitely got to be in the contention for manager of the season.
It's a good job, Bono. It's a good job.
Very good job.
It's going to be interesting to see how he puts his own stomp on things, his own style on stuff next season, when he would expect him to develop a little bit more, maybe with a year in the Premier League under his belt. But I didn't realise that Bournemouth went for Bielsa. I forgot about that before appointing Gary O'Neill. So fair play to Gary O'Neill. Next up we have, oh my God, it's Ruben Selles. 17 games played from the 12th of February onwards this season. 2 wins, 4 draws, 11 losses. It's piss poor if not find a new job.
I think it might be find a new job.
He had one game, I think, before the World Cup as well, where he drew that game, so he didn't win that one either.
Yeah.
But it's a harsh one, because that's his only managerial job to go off, and it's a really difficult situation to find yourself in.
Of course, and as we were saying, they're expecting to be, based on the squad and the recruitment, they're expecting to be in the relegation battle, but that is... 2
wins from 17 is
atrocious.
Poor. I don't think it's find a new job because we don't know too much about him. That's his first job.
Yeah.
So I think piss poor, towards the bottom of poor, at the very best. At the very best indeed.
Get him in.
David Moyes obviously putting a lot of stock in West Ham's European run this season. Finished the Premier League quite comfortably in the end. 40 points from the 38 league games played. Well clear relegation, which I think they were in the bottom 3 for a hell of a lot of the season.
They were, yeah. I think it's okay.
If they win the European Cup, or a European Cup, a big asterisk next to it. It's the Conference League, everybody. Don't get too excited. I mean, to be fair, if Newcastle were there, I'd be going cock-a-hoop.
Yeah. I mean, Jose was in tears after he won it last season. He was in absolute tears.
It's an okay job,
It's an okay job. Yeah, I mean, even if you just ignore the Conference League, and they were in the relegation battle a little bit this season, but they finished 14th, not far off the top.
They were sort of 5 points behind 11th, if you want.
So it's okay. Obviously, it's a big drop off from last season, but when you take into account the European form, it's okay.
Having to go to the arse end of nowhere for a European fixture. He's done all right as David Moyes in the end there.
But I think if they found themselves in a similar situation next season, he could be gone.
Yeah. I think he might be gone anyway.
Yeah.
If he doesn't win the cup.
Yeah, maybe.
I hope he wins it.
Next up, though, we've got the man of the hour, the man of the season, the real manager of the season.
The arrogant little troll that is Nathan Jones, who is the best at Europe in many different categories of pressing and possession and other things like that. But when it comes to sheer numbers, 14 games he had as Southampton manager, 5 wins. A weird press conference where he talked about compromising his style. That's when he brought out the best in Europe at pressing and whatever other bollocks he said. And he said, I'm not going to be a nice guy anymore. It's time to put my own stamp on things.
It's one of the most bizarre managerial appointments and stints I've ever seen.
To be fair, his jobs at Luton, and I say jobs because he left for Stoke, he came back to Luton. Yeah. Luton just seems to be where he should be just forever. Obviously something works when he's at Luton. But in terms of Southampton, to come out as a Premier League manager and say something like that, just to say, I've compromised my style to appease other people at the football club, that's odd.
I think he's proven, not only tactically but mentally, he's just not cut out to be a Premier League level manager. Maybe the pressure was clearly getting to him a lot.
And he'd never been there before.
He's never been there before. He got 5 wins, so he did better than Selles, but is it he's proven that he's decent in the Championship.
It's find a new job unless you go back to Luton. I think that's what we can settle on.
I mean, I want to put him in find a new job.
I'll put him in find a new job because
he'd be box office as a pundit.
Yeah,
he'd be box office.
Well, I think he was. He was for Luton versus Sunderland, wasn't he? For some reason. Yeah,
well, the ex-manager.
But he kept saying we. Apparently, Jack was saying he kept saying we do this, we do that. We're talking about Luton.
He loves the club. He wants to go back. Now that they're in the Prem, he's got no chance.
Odd man.
So lastly, we've got one more to go, Ross.
Yep, Stellini at Spurs. 4 games in charge. 1 win, 1 draw, 2 defeats is what we've got.
I think it's found a new job.
It probably is. He had at Alessandria. I don't know where they are. Between July and November 2017, 16 games, 3 wins. 18.75% win record is there.
I think
he's an assistant manager.
He's nailed on assistant manager, so he's not finding a new job necessarily. He's just go back to your old job.
Go back to your old job. Which I guess is a new job now that you think you're a manager. Or does he think he's a manager? He
didn't he just played Conte football.
Well, I don't know what you expect when you have Conte as manager, then put Conte's assistant in as the new manager. How do you expect to change things when things are largely going to be the same, you would think?
Yeah, no, I mean, it made no sense. And then obviously I've just realised we've missing off here Ryan Mason.
Ryan Mason, yeah.
But I feel like he would also go into...
Damn you, unnamed 21328.
I'm also going to put him in find a new job, Ryan Mason.
Why?
He's just not... I just don't think he's a manager.
He's a young boy.
I just don't think he's got the...
Kavorka.
Yeah, he's not got the presence to be a manager. He's not. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm being harsh. But I think very similarly to Stellini, he's cut out to be an assistant or a coach, which isn't a bad thing. Not everyone is cut out to be a manager.
Nice job to have. I wouldn't mind that. But yes, Stellini took over when Spurs were 4th. They then finished in 8th. They finished in 8th under Mason as well. So let's collect them 2 together, shall we? Why the hell not?
Yeah, they both get a new job.
So there we go. There's the tier list ranking. Now we find out the solitary manager of the season. Now I know what my vote is. It's an obvious one. So I'll let the independent panel, since Klopp is in the OK bracket, isn't he?
Oh, Jürgen's not touching it.
So from that good job, who is your manager of the season? I'm not going to have any say in it whatsoever. Just a quick thought, Owen, and then we'll go home.
I'm torn between 2. It's Pep and Eddie Howe for me. Pep, they should be winning the Premier League every season.
Especially with Haaland.
With the squad, with the investment. I mean, they won the Premier League last season. They added Haaland. Of course, they won it again. They're going to win the treble. So Pep is got to be up there. Eddie Howe overachieved massively, got them to Champions League, got them to a cup final as well. I'm not just saying this because you're here. I am tempted to put Eddie Howe in.
Say no more.
I feel like you're not going to argue, so I'm going to put Eddie Howe in. And it's not just because I'm a Liverpool fan. It's because Pep is expected to do these things. Eddie Howe was not expecting to be where Newcastle are.
Amen.
So
2 years ahead of schedule.
Absolutely.
There we go then. That's the tier list. Tell us how wrong we are. I've been Ross, joined by Owen, and we'll see you next time.